Is up, everybody? This is Night Shift, and I'm here with Season 2, Episode number 3 of my UMASS Dynasty. And we're going to have some recruiting for you guys, and then some gameplay after that. Now we're going to start out checking out these corners and seeing if there's anybody that it's just going to be impossible for me to get, or I'm going to scout them. So let's see. I'm going to figure out real quick if there's anybody that is not going to be able to be gotten. Like this guy, 500 points back, Georgia's in front. No chance. Might as well not even bother. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and go back up to the top and scout the quarterback. Get him finished up with his scouting. And that's kind of funny because he just lost 3 points in his overall without anything that had to do with quarterbacking, so I'm not really that worried about that. Alright, now I'm actually going to scout the other two guys at quarterback and see if they're even worth keeping around, to see if they can even help me as a backup for next year. So now that they're both completely scouted, I can see what their throw power and accuracy was, and we can go back to look later on and see if they're worth keeping. As you can see, I spent the rest of it on the D tackle, and I tried right here to get a little info, maybe some speed info on that corner, but it didn't work. So now we're going to go ahead and use our strategy of 10 minutes on all the guys at the bottom. And you'll notice that on guys that I'm first on the list, I'm offering them scholarship, and guys that I'm not first on the list, I'm usually offering them a promise, because I'd rather offer a scholarship because it's generally less points you get. So offer that to guys that you're already in first on, and use the promises on guys that you're not first on, so that the next week you can usually be first. Alright, now we are up to the quarterbacks, and as you can see, I'm gonna go and show you guys what I have as far as backups for next year, because Pagel will be gone. And checking out the throw power and accuracy, and keeping in mind that these guys are going to get a little bit better, I am going to decide that both of these quarterbacks are not going to be good enough to help me, because by the time that they're even going to be good enough to play, I'm going to have a better new quarterback. So I'm not even worried about them at all. I still got the guy up top, and he's a priority. I'm going to make sure that I get him. Alright, and now we're going to go back to offering these guys 10 minutes, and like I said before, promise for those guys that are not really in first, and scholarship for the guys that aren't first. And as you can see, I have a bunch of cornerbacks on the board, just to see what happens with the two cornerbacks there at the top are the ones that I'm really going for. These other guys are just backup plans, just in case somebody tries to fight me for those guys and I end up not being able to get them, because I'm desperate for cornerbacks and I'm going to really need some next year, especially with the way I play defense. If you guys have seen me play defense, my corners are very, very important to how I play. Alright, so now that we've gotten through all of our 10-minute guys, we're going to spend a little bit more time on these guys since they are a little bit more important. So we're going to go half an hour, and we're going to get them their 2 promises in there. Try to jump all the way up over Illinois and Northwestern. So we'll do both promises and a scholarship, and hopefully we'll jump to number 1. And on this one, I got to jump Virginia Tech, so we're going to do both promises, scholarship, and hopefully I'll be able to jump Virginia Tech. Hopefully they don't like this guy that much. Alright, and now moving ahead, we have all of our defensive linemen right here. And I'm going to check and see what kind of a lead I have, and based on that, I'm going to only use 20 minutes, and we'll do both promises to try to gain a big lead, so that I only need to use about 10 or 20 minutes on him to keep him. Alright, you're going to notice that both of these D tackles both got better to 75, but they both have Alabama and LSU as their top spot. I'm going to have to wait on those guys to later, and I'll decide how much time that I have that I can spend on them later. But they are still important. So I'll spend 20 minutes on this D end and see if anything happens. If something happens, good. If not, good. It's not that big of a deal. I'm hoping to get him, but if I don't, I'm not going to be that upset. Alright, now we're going back. We're up to the offensive lineman. And I like this center. He's a 68 overall. He should be able to help on my offensive line at some point. So we're going to go for him. Now you're going to watch me waste 20 minutes worth of promises on a couple of guards, and now I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. I'm gonna go all the way to the top and show you guys. You guys all know that I really want this quarterback, but I only put 40 minutes on him, and that's because any more than that, and it's kind of a waste of time. I don't want to suffer on everything else just because I want this quarterback. So getting 4 points or 2 points or 3 points is not worth the extra time. So that's why I use 40 points. When you're a small school and you don't have A pluses and everything, it's much better just to use that 40 points. I've talked about that since all the way back in season 1, and hopefully everybody's listening. Alright, so one thing about this episode is I know it's 20 minutes long. I hope you guys stick with it for the whole thing. I got a nice game to show you guys after the recruiting is over. Just so you guys know, the recruiting does take a lot of time in this episode because I'm showing you guys exactly what I'm doing in the beginning. And I think for about the first 4 weeks or so, 5 weeks, the recruiting does take a little bit longer because you have to put more into it. And I wanted to show you guys what I put into it, exactly how I arrive at finding the guys that I like. And in this season, you're going to actually see me go back into the pool of players and pull some guys out mid-season that I think are worth going for. And that's part of the strategy in season number 2, is to try to do that. And that makes the recruiting process take longer, and I don't want to leave that out because I'm trying to explain to you guys how I do what I do. Alright, so that's why the video is 20 minutes long, and I hope you guys stick with it for the whole video. And if you guys have been watching and to what I'm doing while I'm talking, you'll see that I'm pretty much doing the same thing on all these guys. 40 minutes, a couple of promises, and they already have scholarship offers from week 1. So a couple of promises, and I'm finding out some new stuff about them. And also don't forget, some of these things will increase as we go. Like if we're having a good season, our championship contender will go up a little bit, and coach prestige as I do stuff as a coach will go up. One thing that I noticed on this that I didn't notice before is that every time you sign an extension, your stability suffers. So at the end of this season, I'm not going to sign an extension and see what happens, because that's a big part of it, and that's something that I really wouldn't want to suffer. So as you can see, I'm now back on the D tackles, and I'm going to use only 20 minutes on each D tackle, but I am going to get both of them to have visits in week 4 for that rivalry game. And basically, if I can get to week 4, maybe I have a shot. I probably only get one of them, but I'm going to do my best to get both. 79 is pretty good for what I'm trying to do here. Alright, we only got an hour left, so we're going to split the time up. 30 minutes on this guy, 30 minutes on the other guy, to get him to visit week 4. I'm going to pretty much try to get everybody I can to visit in week 4, and that's because it's a rivalry game against Boston College, and I do feel like I can beat Boston College, and it should be a good game for the recruits to visit. You always get extra points for having them come to visit on on rivalry games. So that's why you're going to see me have everybody visit in week 4. Alright, now that I have no call time left, we are going to go ahead and remember that I still need a kicker and a punter. So we're going to add those guys to the list real quick. Hopefully I'll be able to get these guys on the first try, and I won't have to really expand or use much time on different guys. So the only thing that really matters with kickers in this game, because nothing else matters, is their kick power. You want somebody who will be decent for kickoffs, and if you can find one guy with decent kick power between your punter and your kicker, he can be your kicker. And since the kicking goes like based on your thumb and like how good you are at getting max power and accuracy, the rest of the stats for the kickers don't really matter in this game. So we're just gonna pick a couple of kickers, and hopefully nobody else will go for them except me. Alright, now you're gonna see me do something I didn't do in the first season. Is I'm gonna go looking up for players. I got 5 spots, and I cut a couple of quarterbacks, so I'm gonna look to add a couple of quarterbacks. I think I'm gonna add 3 more quarterbacks here to my board and see if they're gonna be any better than the backups that I have already, and that'll be what I'm trying to do here. And I'll eventually scout them, and if they do end up good enough, then I'll try to sign them so they can be backups to the guy that I'm trying to get, who is a 75 overall. And you'll see that I'm going up and down looking at their overalls, and guys like this, he's got a B throw power, so if he ends up anywhere near what he should be right around a 70, which is not bad for a quarterback. You notice that I go up and I check everybody's throw power and stuff. We got the 2 guys that I cut, Slaughter and Mitchell. I'm first on their list, but they're not going to be good enough to play, so I'm going to try a different Mitchell, and that's going to give me 3 quarterbacks that I can try to add to my recruiting. Alright, now my next favorite position to recruit just happens to be free safety, because I can do the most with them in position changes. So if they're fast, some of them tackle real well, you can move them to linebackers and stuff, which I've talked about. You can move them to defensive end, whatever, or you can keep them at free safety or strong safety. So that's why I do that. Alright, now we got our game coming up, and a little change this year. I'm going to be doing the introduction to the game. So welcome to the game against UMASS and UTSA. It's the Minutemen against the Roadrunners. Alright, first thing I'm going to do in this game is show you guys what I'm working with. You got Pagel at quarterback, of course, and now we got Broadnax at running back. He was redshirted last year. And after that, we got Fossell starting at fullback. He's a 64. We got Michael returning at wide receiver, along with all of the freshman wide receivers. And Blanchflower and Barrett, I'm looking for them to be huge for me today. I'm liking using the tight ends. And I'm going to show you guys, go over the offensive line real quick, with Dima being the best one at center. And now on to defense. We got Hilliard starting at left end, Potvin at right end, Delaire at D tackle, Terrell's going to be my left linebacker, and Harrison middle linebacker, and Carter's going to be the right linebacker. Alright, we got Tharp, Smith, and Ivy going to be doing most of the playing time, since I use the nickel package a lot. We got good speed out there with those guys. We got Wilson, my favorite guy that I recruited last year, at free safety, and I moved Ed St. Ville over to strong safety, and he's going to anchor that defense. Alright, now I'm going to show you guys the first full drive of the game, and from there I'll give you highlights from how things went. Alright, after the kickoff, we're going to start this off with the same strategy as last year. Run it, and run it some more. But this year I'm going to incorporate the tight ends a little bit more. So we have a big 3rd down and 2 to start the game. I'm going to try to run this off the right side, and that is a play last year that I would have not have gotten because my running back just was not fast enough or quick enough to do. But Broadnax picks up the 1st down, and that's huge. Alright, as you can see, I'm still trying to establish that running game, but this is what happens when you do. We're going to hit Reggie Watts for a long 60-yard touchdown and take a nice 7-0 lead early in this game. 5 plays, 72 yards. Now I'm going to show you guys the championship contender real quick. We start out at 66, so we'll see how that goes as the season goes on. And on the second play of their drive, I'm going to get an interception. That's awesome. So things are looking real good early, getting the tight ends involved, and they're even making catches like that. Attaboy, Blanchflower. That would set up this field goal, and we'll take a 10-0 lead with 4 minutes to go in the first half. So things are working good so far. I'm getting some good time off the clock and stuff like that. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys a sneak peek of the standings. And obviously this is not really that important right now, but I'm going to be doing that throughout the season, just so you guys know. And now we're going to pick it up with 10 seconds left in the half. I almost get sacked, and he gets away and gets the first down, which leaves me able to get this field goal in there for the half, and it's good. So we're going to take a 13-0 lead into halftime, which that'll work, right? 9 plays, 46 yards, 2 minutes. Everything seems to be taking 2 minutes. That's pretty good. So we're taking 13-0 lead into halftime, and now I'm going to show you guys upcoming schedule. We start out here at UTSA, then we get Connecticut and Boston College in 2 rivalry games at home. So we can look forward to that. And then that gets followed up by Buffalo and Kent State at home. And we'll check in on the rest of that as we go, because I'm going to give updates in the game as we go. So we're going to get back to the game now, and we're going to pick it up here, 3rd and 1 in the 3rd quarter. I'm going to have a nice blitz right there, come right in the A-gap, and get out of that situation. Alright, now we're going to pick this up. I'm going for it on 4th down because I can't make a field goal from here. And once again, Blanchflower comes up with the big reception on 4th down. And now here on 3rd and 12, I'm going to try to hit him again in the end zone. But this guy comes in free, and I get sacked. So going into the 3rd quarter, it's 13-0. Things are really looking up. They haven't been able to do anything. So first play of the 4th quarter, I'm going to try to do this fake, and oh, he drops it. Hits him right in the back. So it's going to stay 13-0. Alright, here on 3rd and 4 on their own 30, their quarterback's going to make a really nice play and give their team a little bit of life here. A couple of plays later, I'm going to try to get in there and stop him, but with nobody back, this turns into a big play, and they get a few yards out of it. A few plays later, they're going to convert on that 2nd down and get in the red zone. And now here, a couple more plays later, we're going to give up our first touchdown of the season, and that kind of sucks because now it's a game. Alright, so I'm going to pick it up here on 3rd and 4 with a minute to go, and we pick up the first down, which is pretty much going to ice the game. All we got to do is run the clock out like so, and that's gonna pretty much do it, guys. That's gonna be your final, 13-7. It wasn't that pretty, but we did have one huge big play in the game, and that was this one to Reggie Watts, and that's gonna be our play of the game. Give you guys a nice angle right here. You can see nobody gets back on defense, so it's gonna be an easy 6 points. So after that, we got our player of the game is going to be Kellen Pagel. And now I'm going to show you guys a couple of stats. Pagel was 8 of 13. Pretty much perfect for 168 and a touchdown. That'll work. Broadnax, 16 attempts, 50 yards on the ground. That'll work. And Blanchflower coming up with 7 catches for 108 yards. Huge. And Reggie Watts, of course, with the big touchdown. Our offensive line actually did not too bad. Myers came up with 4 pancakes, and Fosell came up with 3 pancakes, and we only allowed 1 sack with that guy that came straight up the middle. So not too bad on the offensive line. And we got 1 pick and a sack, so that worked out well. And the kicker made 2. Alright guys, that's it for this episode. Catch us next week when I take on UConn in game number 2 of the season. Peace.